In this video, we'll be taking a look at all today's NBA matchups, and I'll break them all down with free winning picks so you can bet smarter and win bigger. But first, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get our picks the second they drop, because when the lines move, the early birds cash in. And if you want the full winning sport picks experience, head over to wspicks.com and check out our VIP packages, or grab a free consultation with one of our professional sports consultants for the sharpest edge you'll find anywhere. That's where the real plays live. We are your bookmaker's worst nightmare. These are the games we're hammering, the ones the books can't afford you to bet. This is Winning Sport Picks. The free picks are about to drop, and they're coming in hot. We start with Sacramento versus Detroit, and this is one of those inflated spread spots that jumps off the board immediately. Sacramento is catching 13.5, and that number tells you the market is pricing in a comfortable Detroit win rather than a competitive game. The problem with laying this many points is that you're betting on margin, not control, and that's where favorites get into trouble. Sacramento doesn't need to be efficient or dominant. They just need to survive stretches and avoid extended collapses, which is usually enough when you're getting this kind of cushion. The total sits at 226, and with a spread this large, games often slow late once the outcome feels decided, which caps scoring in this matchup. The side that makes sense is Sacramento plus 13.5, and the total that fits the script is the under 226. Next is Denver against Memphis, and this is a much tighter number that reflects how evenly these teams are being priced. Denver is getting 3, which means any competitive game immediately favors the side catching points. In these spots, you're not betting on dominance, you're betting on stability, and Denver has shown they can stay composed when games grind into the fourth quarter. Memphis laying a short number means every empty stretch matters, and that naturally keeps the game closer. The total is 224.5, which signals controlled pace rather than a shootout, especially with a narrow spread. The way this sets up, the play is Denver plus 3 and the under 224.5. Now we've got Golden State versus Minnesota, and the number here is doing a lot of talking. Golden State is catching 7.5, which shows just how much respect Minnesota is getting at home. But when you give this many points to a team that doesn't need to force tempo, you often get a game that stays closer than expected. Minnesota being asked to win by margin puts pressure on them to keep scoring, even if the pace slows. The total is 234.5, which is high but not extreme, meaning the market expects scoring without chaos. If the game tightens late, that favors the underdog and keeps the total in check. In this spot, the pick is Golden State plus 7.5 and the under 234.5. Next up is New Orleans against San Antonio, and once again, we're looking at a big spread. New Orleans is getting 12, and that's a lot of points in a league where runs are inevitable. San Antonio is clearly respected, but laying double digits requires sustained separation, not just control. New Orleans doesn't need to win quarters, they just need to avoid getting buried, and that's often enough to stay within a number this large. The total is 238.5, which is already inflated and leaves little room for error if the pace slows late. This sets up cleanly for New Orleans plus 12 and the under 238.5. Now let's talk Dallas versus Milwaukee, and this is essentially a coin flip game. The spread is pick, which tells you the market sees no real edge either way and expects swings throughout. In these games, I prefer the side that handles volatility better, and Dallas has been more comfortable in games that stay tight and come down to execution rather than runs. The total is 219.5, which is lower than most of the board and points to a more deliberate pace. With a number this modest, it doesn't take much for the under to stay alive. The play here is Dallas at pick and the under 219.5. Next is Toronto against Oklahoma City, another double-digit spread that demands caution. Toronto is getting 12, and that immediately shifts the pressure onto the favorite to dominate rather than just win. Oklahoma City is being priced as the superior side, but big numbers like this are vulnerable if the underdog can control tempo and limit extended runs. The total is 225, which feels fair but slightly exposed if the game tightens late. In this matchup, the value is Toronto plus 12 and the under 225. Now we've got Miami against Phoenix, and this is one of the tighter, more interesting lines on the board. Miami is getting 2.5, which tells you the market sees this as a near coin flip, despite Phoenix being at home. In these spots, points are valuable because 1 or 2 late possessions can flip the outcome. Miami is comfortable playing in structured, half-court games, and that often keeps margins tight. The total sits at 229.5, which is elevated enough that the market expects scoring, but not so high that it assumes a runaway pace. If this game plays with any discipline late, that number becomes hard to clear. The side here is Miami plus 2.5 and the under 229.5. Finally, we close with Brooklyn against the Clippers, and this is a classic big spread, low total setup. Brooklyn is catching 8.5, while the total is just 210.5, which immediately tells you possessions are expected to matter. When totals are this low, covering big numbers becomes more difficult because there's less room for separation. The Clippers may control the game, but control doesn't always translate to margin. Brooklyn doesn't need efficiency, they just need to stay competitive. The correct side here is Brooklyn plus 8.5 and the under 210.5. Now listen to me, those are the free picks, but the one game I am unloading on tonight, the game that's going to crush your bookie's soul, that's the VIP play of the day at WSPicks.com. This is the nuke, the hammer, the max bet, the one play I've circled, the game that will bury your bookmaker 6 feet under. When it hits, and it will, your bookie is going to need a doctor, a lawyer, and maybe even a priest. If you want to ride with me on the biggest bet of the day, get to WSPicks.com right now. So when you wrap it all up, we're back in Sacramento plus 13.5 with the under 226, Denver plus 3 with the under 224.5, Golden State plus 7.5 with the under 234.5, New Orleans plus 12 with the under 238.5, Dallas at pick with the under 219.5, Toronto plus 12 with the under 225, Miami plus 2.5 with the under 229.5, and Brooklyn plus 8.5 with the under 210.5. This is Winning Sport Picks, where we don't just bet, we bury bookmakers. Smash that subscribe button, drop your favorite plays in the comments, and hammer that like button like you're hammering your bookie into the dirt. We're cashing, we're dominating, and tonight we're dancing on the grave of your bookmaker. Let's go!